Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome to Geek Paradise Entertainment. This is Zal, and I'm here with my friend Chris Chillin, one of the best Dragon Ball cosplayers that I have had the pleasure to meet. Chris, say hi.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for coming here and joining us for our very first Dragon Ball Super discussion video. Obviously, all of you who have been watching Dragon Ball Super and keeping up have seen the 1 hour special. If you haven't, what are you doing? Definitely go watch it right now. Stop this video. Spoiler alert, huge spoiler alerts before we keep going into this. We're going to be talking about the new episodes, episode 109 and 110. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, go do that because we'll be diving deep into spoilers. Nothing really to spoil any future episodes, although we'll be talking about the preview that they showed at the end of this episode, which you don't really have to see the preview to know what's gonna happen. If you watch the episode, you pretty much know what's gonna happen next. But all that out of the way, let's get into it. I didn't really like the beginning part with like Ribrianne. I really don't like her as a character that much. I think she's just there just to distract and waste time. Honestly, like I'm glad Goku just went blue, punched her and just put her through like 3 rocks, and like just she wakes up next to Jiren and F's right off. It's like good. We don't need your Ribrianne, we just need Jiren. You know, how did you feel about that? Like, how did what do you think of that? Like, the way they handled that opening of the episode.
Yeah, I totally agree. At first, I was interested in her character a little bit, but after that whole love scenario on repeat, I was so glad that they kind of just pushed her out of the way.
Yeah, dude, when they repeated that same animation like 6 times during that one episode, I was like, Jesus Christ, like, if I see their God of Destruction do that one animation again, I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm glad they gave her different ones these episodes though. But speaking of which, the thing I liked most about it was the animation was just beautiful. Just the whole time, the animation was just the best that I think we've ever seen in a Dragon Ball like property, like movies, anime, anything. In my opinion, I think this was easily the best animation that we've had, which did make the first fight with Ribrianne a little more tolerable because it looked really cool. But yeah, when that was out of the way, that's when the really, really good shit started to happen. And yeah, I knew Jiren was gonna beat the hell out of Goku like that, but when I saw him blocking Super Saiyan God with one finger, dude, I lost my shit. That was insane. I didn't think he was gonna they're gonna make him be that strong. And then what did you feel like about Kaioken times 20? Because I feel like that was a little bit like I get the point of why they presented it the way they did and make it like almost insignificant to make to show how strong Jiren was, but like at the same time, like him going into 10, like Kaioken Blue times 10 was such a big deal, and just like pulls out times 20 like it's nothing. Like that's his limit, and he just like goes right into that without any kind of fanfare or anything. Like I feel like they might have rushed that a little bit. What do you think?
Yes, yeah, I think the same, and I think it was basically the creator's way of saying this is how much stronger Goku's have gotten, but they wanted to show us at the same time just how much stronger than Goku Jiren was. They didn't want to like play around and make it seem like, oh, Goku can go into Kaioken times 10 and still go even further. They were like, no, let's just max him out, show him just this is his peak, and just show you how much stronger than him Jiren really is.
Right, yeah, no, that's a good point, because I was like, when I was watching, like we obviously saw like Goku going from like base form to Super Saiyan 1 briefly, then he was in 2, then he barely nicked him when he was in 2, like barely even like made him have to move his head. Then of course he went God and he was blocking him with one finger. And then when he went blue and Kaioken on top of that, I had assumed it was just either regular Kaioken or times 10. But then the little exposition squad on the side was like, no, he's actually, Whis was like, no, he's actually Kaioken times 20. Like, I was legit shocked. I was like, oh crap, he's just like, I figured, oh, he might have a chance in like, Kaioken times 20, because I did kind of hear like rumors and spoilers about that happening. So I figured maybe he'll have some kind of fighting chance, and then he'll have to somehow bust out this new form that we saw later. But I had no idea he would just be getting like thrashed in that, like just busted out like it's nothing, and then gets completely thrashed. And then after that was probably one of the coolest things that we've seen in Super, them busting out this Super Spirit Bomb again. I saw a lot of people talk about this, and I wanted to discuss it with you about, like, people were talking about, like, oh, how could they have, made the Spirit Bomb that big and that fast when when in DBZ it would take him like forever, like on Namek, and when he was fighting Boo, he had to like wait all that time for people to give him energy, like from all over the universe and whatever. And my take on that is that we had the 10 strongest fighters in the entire universe. Well, Roshi and Krillin, but they're still pretty good. Tien, I don't know, but they're still like relatively incredibly powerful compared to like just humans. So I feel like, because we had those really powerful people, and then also Frieza, surprisingly, this I did not expect, Frieza gave him energy too, which was really cool. I feel like a lot of people overlook the fact that these are the strongest beings in the universe, that their energy would be leagues higher than the entire, Earth's population of humans, so of course they would make a spirit bomb, that's as big or even bigger than the ones that 7 billion humans would make, because 7 billion humans still wouldn't amount to one Saiyan, because they could easily just blow up the Earth, especially like someone at the level of Goku or Vegeta at this point, which is interesting because Vegeta didn't give Goku any power, and I saw people, saying, oh, why did Vegeta do that, such a dick move, but then he went around and we saw him kind of try and scout the area and take care of like Ribrianne when she was gonna take a cheap shot on Goku. But yeah, like, how do you feel about all that? What's your take?
Yeah, it's actually funny you say that, because I kind of feel the same way you do. A lot of people are saying, oh, I can't believe he made it so big so fast, and you look at the power difference of now and when they first fought Boo.
Exactly.
It's just phenomenal difference. Like, it's so huge. Not to mention, usually when Goku does a Spirit Bomb, he's already beaten up and he's weak, and it's kind of like a last resort thing. Even when he fought Boo, he was beat up. The only reason he was able to go Super is because they had the Dragon Ball wish him back to strength. Then he kind of maxed out. And
exactly.
But this time, Goku wasn't as worn out. He was pretty fine. He was able to go blue. Like, he was in good condition when he made the Spirit Bomb, so he was able to give a lot more of its own power to it, as well as everyone else assisting him on the sideline. Which, we're not going to get into that right now, but I was curious about that as well.
Yeah.
I was like, how did they give him power and not get erased?
That's...
Like,
yeah, that's also something else, because we all saw a few weeks ago when Frost, obviously spoilers if you haven't caught up, but yeah, Frost tried to interfere and he got erased instantly. Zeno's having none of that shit. He said, "Squish, gone, bye Frost." And then he like warned Universe 6, he's like, anything else like that, I'm gonna erase the whole universe. So he seemed pretty serious about outside interference. But then this episode we saw not just this instance, but earlier too with Ribrianne, I forgot to mention this, that her squad that was outside, that was knocked out, those two other magical girls, they used, and their god of destruction used this like pink lightsaber to like power her up, and I was like, either this is foreshadowing to, like, because I knew about the Spirit Bomb from like the previews, I'm like, either this is foreshadowing to Universe 7 dudes helping from the sidelines, or this is just some weird like plot hole that they're just gonna ignore, because this is clearly interference, and so was the Universe 7 thing, that was clearly interference, which I don't personally think they needed, because they had the three weakest dudes on the side. Like, no disrespect to Master Roshi or Krillin, because they really stepped up this whole, you know, tournament. Like, they really shocked me, like, with what they were able to do, especially Master Roshi. Like, his episode I thought was gonna be trash, but it was amazing. But that's another topic. But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like Zeno just doesn't care as long as it looks cool. Just kind of been his attitude. Because with Frost, it was more of a direct, like, he was directly gonna interfere and try and knock out somebody from the sidelines. But with this, it was kind of like giving power to make the fight on the inside look kind of cooler. So I feel like Zeno just doesn't care. He's like, yeah, that's fine.
That's cool. Just let it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, not even the Grand Priest commented on that. Like, no one even commented about that. They just let it happen. Not even Whis or the gods. But yeah, and then we saw Goku, like, Jiren was like, yeah, it's cool, man. Take your time, charge your Spirit Bomb. I'm still gonna stare at it and send it right back. He said it's fine, you can take your time setting it up, because it did take him some time. Of course, if it was someone else, he would have just knocked the shit out of him without him, like, having the chance to charge it. But we saw that Jiren was that confident that he said, yeah, you can charge it, and I'm still gonna beat you. And yeah, that was just insane how, like, Goku first threw it, Jiren comes out just blocking it with one hand, like, not even touching it, just, like, blocking, like, with his energy with one hand, and they go back and forth. This was really cool when Jiren just, like, at the end when Goku's, like, struggling, Kaioken times 20, pushing this huge Spirit Bomb, Jiren just stares at the thing. He said, "Justice, glare!" Push that Spirit Bomb right back. But yeah, that was one of the most tense moments. Like, even though, like, you know, we know everything's gonna turn out fine and Goku's gonna get the form and whatever, like, that was just still, to me, one of the most intense moments of the whole, like, arc so far. Just, like, this whole, like, struggle between them, and then what followed, which seemed like Goku dying. Obviously, the promotions were accurate. Goku did get the new form, and yeah, I thought the whole him getting into it, like, the transition from the Spirit Bomb into him reawakening was really interesting, because what it seemed like happened, that the Spirit Bomb kind of imploded, like, turned into a black hole, and then it seemed like Goku kind of got absorbed into it, and then his body instinctually tried to fight off the energy of the Spirit Bomb that was trying to kill him, and then that somehow, like, triggered this effect that unlocked this technique, Ultra Instinct. Which, yeah, do you think it should be classified as a technique or a form? Like a transformation or like a move?
Right now, I would say a technique.
Right.
He masters that to the point where he can just switch into that form, then I think you can consider it a new form. But right now, it seems more of a last resort type, like, thing for him. It's something that his body just kicked in to kind of not die. It seems like it was just like, all right, it's now or never. Let's just use our instinct and win, or at least try to win.
Right.
So I would say like a last resort technique than a actual form for the moment.
Right. No, I definitely agree with you, because it doesn't seem like a transformation. You know, like, we're all used to, like, a transformation having, like, you know, different looking hair, or, you know, some different feature on them that changes. Which, I mean, technically he did get new aura, and his eye color did change, and he had, like, the kind of gray streaks in his hair, like, just like a little bit, like, kind of like highlights. But I feel like that's just from whatever was that heat that everyone kept talking about. That was something interesting too. They kept talking about, like, oh, look at Goku, he has this new ability, like, he's just, his body's moving on its own without him, like, you know, seeming like he's thinking about it, which was his instinct. But then everyone kept bringing up this heat that was coming off of him. Even at the end, when him and Jiren clashed at the end, and, you know, he kind of lost that form, Jiren commented about the heat that was coming off of him. So I feel like his body still wasn't used to this technique, obviously, since he just unlocked it, and it was just, like, expelling a lot of energy out of him. which, obviously at that point he had used all of his energy. And just so people don't get confused, this wasn't anything that, it's not like some spirit bomb like related form that's just tied to the spirit bomb. The spirit bomb just gave him enough energy to like kind of sustain him, like just gave him some more fuel to keep going. But because his body instinctively reacted to the spirit bomb's explosion in such a way that he unlocked this new technique, he was able to obviously use Ultra Instinct. But it wasn't because of the spirit bomb, just because there's some confusion about that online. Like, what are your speculations on this whole like heat thing that was going on with Goku?
I'm not sure because unless that's what you kind of call like the little sparkles that we kind of saw going around his body, it wasn't really something that I felt we, as viewers, could really see. Like we saw the aura, which that might have been the theme that they were speaking of, but if not, then I feel like it's something that we just can see. And unfortunately, I've been trying to figure out this entire week, like what is that? Like what is this heat that they keep speaking of? Is it this aura that he's giving off, and it's really heat? But I was looking for kind of like the heat line to see if they did that in the anime, and I didn't see that, so I was a little confused as well. Like I'm not sure what this is or what that exactly means. Like was he just hot because of the spirit bomb and his energy like radiating so heavily? Is that the only way he can like go into this Ultra Instinct, or what's going on?
Right. Yeah, that's interesting because of how Whis was talking about it, and the exposition squad on the side with Krillin and Roshi and T and Whis. They were talking about like how Goku doesn't really have more power than he did before he did Ultra Instinct. Like they were talking about like like how is he able to keep up with Jiren now? The Spirit Bomb didn't have enough energy to keep up with him, so how could a power boost from that sustain him to be able to do this? And they were like, well, it's not the power boost. We said, this is just like more fuel for him, but the Spirit Bomb basically like caused him enough like physical and mental trauma to his body that his instinctive reaction is what kind of kicked in for this form. And I have like a theory that maybe Jiren also knows Ultra Instinct, but is so used to it that like he doesn't really show any kind of like, I guess, symptoms like Goku does. Like Goku just unlocked it, so he was radiating all this aura, he was radiating this heat. Maybe it's something like in the manga where Goku unlocked perfect Super Saiyan Blue by absorbing all his ki and keeping it inside and having perfect ki control from that. Maybe that's what Jiren has. He has like perfect control of whatever that heat is, and he just constantly has Ultra Instinct on, but without radiating this extra heat or energy to kind of signal that something is going on with him that, would scare the gods. Which was really funny that all of the gods were basically like shitting themselves when they saw Goku go into Ultra Instinct, especially Beerus. Beerus was terrified. He's like, oh crap, he can do this now.
Pleased about that.
Yeah. But I feel like maybe the anime is trying to take some ideas from the manga, because, the whole idea of him turning Super Saiyan God, red hair, for the speed and stamina, and then going blue to attack, that's straight from the manga, which Vegeta actually did first in the manga against Goku Black. When they fought, he would go into his red form to charge up at him and, gain the extra momentum and speed, and then on the point of impact go blue for the power, and then go back to red so he can have more speed and stamina control. So I feel like maybe they're trying to take more ideas from the manga in this whole perfect Super Saiyan Blue thing. Maybe like in the future we'll see Goku go in this form again, but then not have the same kind of aura. Maybe he'll learn to like control it better, which is interesting because have you seen any of the promotional art or any of those images of his form before we found out what it was before the special?
Yeah, so like a lot of those images, he's actually sitting there with his shirt off.
Exactly.
I think that's like a huge spoiler, which everybody's like, oh, it's gonna happen. And on there, everybody kept calling it Limit Breaker.
Right.
And they kept saying that was the name of it, which I feel as though if that is the case, um, throughout this past episode, they kept saying, "Oh, he reached his limit," and I'm thinking, well, it would make perfect sense for that to be him calling it Limit Breaker, because when he goes to that form, I can only assume he's going to be beyond his limit, and I think that's where the name's going to come from. Whether he makes it up or someone else makes it up on the spot, I think that's just what it's going to be called, and I'm pumped for that.
Oh, so you think that's gonna be a new form and it's gonna be called Limit Breaker when they actually like show off what was in the promotional image?
I can only assume. That's just going speculation, of course, but
Right.
after they got the pictures and they look pretty official, then I couldn't see how they got the name wrong as well. Even though it's called Ultra Instinct right now, I still see it not being a possibility of real name, or at least what they call it during the moment in which it happens.
Right. Well, Limit Breaker was kind of like a fan name, like people didn't know what it was called, so they just said, it's a new form that's gonna break his limits, so let's just call it Limit Breaker. So I don't believe it was any official announcement that that form was actually called Limit Breaker. I don't think they had given it a name. Yeah, in the promotional images they hadn't given it any kind of name, and even one of the people working with Toriyama was like, he has come up with this awesome name for it, and I guess they were talking about Ultra Instinct because this was the first time that we actually had an official name for this new blue aura gray eye looking form. And yeah, it's really interesting that they showed the promotional images with his shirt off and kind of slightly reddish aura going around him, which I think might be that like symbolic of that heat that everyone was talking about. Maybe it has more to do with this form than what we were talking about. And what's really interesting too is I don't know if you play Dokkan Battle, but Dokkan Battle, like a couple of days ago on the Japan side, when this episode aired, actually released those cards into the game for the Japanese players. They released a new Ultra Instinct card, and it's actually called Ultra Instinct, but it has him. But the thing is, though, it has him with his shirt off. It has him with the new look from the promotional images, with the shirt off, and not with the blue shirt or any art that resembles anything that we actually saw in these episodes. Because usually Dokkan Battle, the art in those cards is taken straight out of the manga or the anime somewhere. They love the references, of course. So this was a reference to the promotional art, but it wasn't a reference to anything in the show. And what's interesting is that the card was released as a Dokkan Festival card, which, people don't know what that means. It just means that it's released as like this special card on its own banner with like, its own like featured units, and the main thing is it's supposed to have an awakening. But this card doesn't have an awakening. It's supposed to have a Dokkan awakening into a new card. Like when they release, like, for example, the what's it called, the Goku Black stuff and Rage Trunks from like that arc. You had regular looking Merge Zamasu as a Dokkan Festival card who awakened into corrupted Merge Zamasu, something like that. They usually almost always have them for Dokkan Festival cards, and they didn't for this one. So what that tells me is that whatever he's supposed to transform into in his new card is a spoiler that they haven't shown us yet, and they won't show us until we see it on the show, which then also tells me that there's probably way more going on with this form, that something is gonna happen, that maybe he's gonna stack Super Saiyan on top of it, maybe he's gonna stack Kaioken on top of it, maybe he's just gonna go into like a perfect form of this transformation, or maybe the card that they want to awaken it into has art from a future episode where he fights Jiren again, or a new hero, because there has to be a rematch between Goku and Jiren with this form, because this episode doesn't match the promotion that we've been shown, and I don't think that was a mistake, because they were showing it pretty like actively. They were hyping the hell out of it, like, look, this is his new form and this is the picture for his new form, but it wasn't like that in the show at all. And not to get into too much spoilers for the future, there was something mentioned about a character, like a new character that's gonna get into the picture, that's gonna be super strong too. and that's about all I know about it. I don't know what universe, I don't know what their race is in the show's universe or anything like that. I just heard from looking around on websites and other YouTubers and shit that there is gonna be another contender coming in to that's gonna be on their same tier in this tournament too, not just in a different arc. Like there's still someone in this tournament that we haven't seen that's gonna try and mess with them on that same level. So maybe that new character is gonna push Goku to Limit Breaker again, or to Ultra Instinct again, and something is gonna happen that is gonna cause him to get his shirt ripped off, like in the promotional images, or it just could be the rematch with Jiren later. We don't know. What do you feel about that?
I'm honestly assuming the same here. Like, I haven't heard about the strong opponent coming in yet, but there's got to be something. Not to mention, there's pretty much never an arc that goes by without Goku losing his shirt.
Right.
The new power. So that's just like a thing with him. It's just what better way to, show that than with a new form. It'll be almost just like the Frieza dynamic thing on repeat here. He's referencing that so much in this tournament that I can't see him not doing it.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like there's a lot of Namek references here. Especially there was a direct Namek reference from Frieza himself at the end of this last episode, which left a lot of people confused. So at the end of the Goku and Jiren fight, after they go at it, and it's super cool. Like it almost looks like a stand battle from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. If you've seen that, it looks like the one part where they're just like in the middle of the air, like fists flying at each other, but they're moving so fast that no one else can see it. That looks like a straight up stand battle from part 3. It's awesome. But yeah, like after all that happens, Goku goes in for a punch on Jiren, and he starts to roar, and then Jiren still holds his punch, doesn't even flinch, says that's interesting, says something about the heat, punches him away. Goku's down, he's out of the form. And then after all that happens, before we get into what happens with Jiren and Goku, instant transmissions out of there after Vegeta tries to grill him on the form, like what happened, how'd you do that, he doesn't know. Yeah, Vegeta immediately is like, I need to know, tell me right now, what the hell did you just do? And he's like, I have no idea, which I have a theory about too, which we'll get into in a second. But after that, you see Goku go somewhere and to recover, and you see Frieza standing on top of him, which with what looks like a charged death beam, ready to fire at him, and he says, "Oh, this brings back such good memories from Namek," or something along those lines. And I think a lot of people didn't really get what was going on. He's referring to when Frieza, when it was the opposite, and Frieza was down, cut in half, and then Goku was on top of him, but instead of, killing him, Goku heals him. So I think obviously what's going to happen here is that Frieza's going to heal him, I feel like that's pretty obvious. Frieza did give him energy this last episode. He seems like he's on Universe 7's side for now, with like a couple episodes ago with the whole Frost thing. He got Frost eliminated, which Frost was a huge problem for Universe 7. Like, he got Krillin and basically Master Roshi eliminated because he got that cheap shot on Krillin, and then he beats the hell out of Master Roshi until he basically has to like retire or he'll probably die. I feel like he was one Mafuba away from dying. And yeah, I feel like Frieza is kind of, I don't want to say like he's turning a new leaf, but it feels like he is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they'll make him a good guy necessarily, but it feels like his respect for the Saiyans and his need to survive and his universe's need to survive, I feel like he's kind of like becoming less of a villain, more of like, a respectful like adversary to them, but also at the same time looking out for them, because if they die, then he has less of a chance of winning and then gaining immortality or whatever he wants from those Dragon Balls. I feel like if he does win the Dragon Balls, he's gonna wish for all the gods and Xenos to be erased, so he can be the emperor of the universe again. um, but yeah, there was something about Goku that was interesting to me. Goku, when he came back out of the Spirit Bomb and got into Ultra Instinct, if you noticed, I don't know, I might have like missed something, but I don't think he spoke or made any kind of noises or sounds until like the very end, when you see his form kind of like it's like fleeting away, like when you see like the gray in his eye go away and it turns back to normal and it's like flashing, and you can tell like, okay, he's at the end of his Ultra Instinct limit, like he's gonna go down in like a couple of more hits. And then when that last punch comes in, he starts to roar. I feel like maybe he wasn't conscious when he was under Ultra Instinct. Maybe his body was like acting on so much like instinct, and just that was like jump started from that Spirit Bomb, basically, that his body was just acting on its own completely. And like Goku just was either unconscious or just was like barely there upstairs, more than usual. um what do you think about that? Like his body just seemed to just move completely on its own, which is obviously the whole point of Ultra Instinct, but it just seemed like he was just blank. He just had this intense look, and then he didn't make any noises until the very end. Like he didn't acknowledge, didn't make any fighting noises, didn't do any of that, didn't roar or scream or anything until the end when he lost it, which I feel like that's when he came into consciousness completely, and then didn't know how to keep his form up. That's why he lost it. Like, what do you feel?
I am so glad you said that, because that is almost 100% how I feel about it. Watching that episode like 6 times over, he's not himself. And you can look at everybody like indicating the entire time this isn't Goku. Like Gohan is like, his fighting style is different. When he goes through days and dodge attacks, is different. It's not him the entire time. There's even one part where Jiren goes for an attack and Goku like hits him and dodges at the same time, and he's just like looking at his body like confused, like, what's going on? And it's just like he's not there. It's not him. Whether it is or not, who knows? They'll explain that later, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't feel like it's him. He, like you said, he doesn't say a word. And when he's yelling, there's like this heavier, like deeper voice, and I'm like, what is that? Like why does he have that echo behind him? And I'm just like, yo, I don't care, it's dope, but I don't know what's going on. That's not Goku.
Yeah, no, that sounds really weird. I was gonna mention that too. Yeah, he sounded like he had some kind of like Lich King thing going on from World of Warcraft, where it's like 2 voices on top of each other, like one like normal-ish kind of voice, and then like a really deep one. And some people were speculating like it sounds like it sounds like some kind of like great ape kind of like roar, like it sounds like an Ozaru roar. So maybe that has something to do with their ancient Ozaru great ape stuff. Maybe it's like, yeah, maybe he unlocked something with that too. Like it was Ultra Instinct plus some latent Saiyan power or something like that. Because yeah, that was definitely something done on purpose, the roar, because obviously it's this huge 1-hour special episode. They won't just put in a bad sound file in the episode. Everything was done on purpose, so we have to really like pay attention to these little details. And yeah, I liked how when Gohan was like describing it, I think it was Gohan talking about it, or whoever it was, someone was talking about how he was like, how his attacks, every time he like attacked, every time he dodged, like it was just getting better and better. Like he was like instinctively learning to hit him harder, dodge him better, block him harder, like as he was fighting, he was still learning. So he was like, he kind of became like Hit for a little bit, because Hit has this thing where he keeps like his pure progression. As the fight goes on, he becomes better and better. He learns his opponent's moves better, so he's able to counter them. He picks out his opponent's weak points, so he's able to hit them more effectively. He kind of went into that realm. Which, yeah, speaking of Hit, I think he's in trouble. That was so badass. He just flies in at him, tries to get a cheap shot. Jiren still doesn't move. And he's like, and then Jiren's like, Assassin of Universe 6, what are you doing? Hit goes, I'm doing my job. Work. About to take you out from my universe. And I'm super pumped for next week's episode when they both go at it. Because this special was amazing, but it still looks like they have a lot of stuff in store. I mean, they even mentioned like it was like I think the halfway point, or like there's 25 minutes left or something. There's a lot of time left in this tournament. I don't think they're gonna end it anytime soon. Like there's still a lot to be done. They still haven't even shown us the Namekians on Universe 6, which
right?
Yeah, like it has been confirmed already. But we still haven't seen them. Like, so I don't know if they're gonna play a big role. I don't know if maybe the new warrior is gonna be one of those Namekians, or oh, dude, what if it's both those Namekians fused together? Is that new combatant that people are talking about? This is just pure speculation. I don't know anything. I'm not trying to like hint at anything that I already know. By the way, I'm just speculating. That would be pretty cool. If it was like some super Universe 6 Namekian. But I don't know, I feel like putting someone above Jiren at this point would kind of like undermine this whole special. I feel like Jiren should still be the top dog, but like, you know, someone else can rise up and like compete with him. That would be cool, because I feel like the only people who can compete with them right now are Goku and Ultra Instinct, and then Hit. But yep, we're about to find out next week how well Hit can deal with that. Because yeah, it didn't seem like even a cheap shot from him was able to move Jiren, and that was like in the fog of war and everything. He just came out of nowhere. No way Jiren could have seen him coming, unless, you know, he just sensed him because he's Jiren. He can stare at the spirit bomb and push it back, so I'm sure he was able to sense him. Oh man. And I think last thing I want to discuss here, unless you have anything else you want to talk about, is how do you feel about other people getting this Ultra Instinct? Do you think someone else will get it during this tournament, like before it ends? And if not, when do you think they'll get it? Like Vegeta or Frieza, for example, or even anyone else? Maybe someone from Universe 6. But what do you feel about, like, if they do unlock this form?
That's a good question. During this tournament, I don't think anyone else is going to get it.
Really? Okay.
So I think they love giving one person that technique for every art. Like they just let one person have their moment. I think with, you know, Goku Black, it was Trunks having his like half blue, half golden moment, and the rest was just the same old same.
Right.
Vegeta going blue versus Frieza and golden, that was his moment, so that he could do it. Goku going Super Saiyan God versus Beerus, that was his moment. And now even again, it's him doing it again. Even way back in the Blue Saga, they had 3 different moments with Mystic Gohan, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Goten. So it was just like that thing that they wanted to give one person for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with this, it's just like, even if we give this to someone else, let's just let Goku have his moment again to shine. And, like, just, this is his moment. I'm curious though, I kind of don't even want him to keep it. I know that sounds strange, but I just want it to be like something that he taps into, he can't control right now. Whether he learns to control it later, that's fine. But I don't want him to be on such a level that's godlike. Because at that point, I'm just like, any other villains you try to introduce into Dragon Ball Z have to be on a god level. Otherwise, once he cranks into this mode, it's a done deal. Because he's on a lot of destruction level in that point. And even we was like, even this is a hard technique for God to destruction to even try to, you know, obtain. So
yeah,
that's saying something.
I think he's even said that Beerus himself has never been able to attain that level of mastery over his instinct, because it was something they talked about in the Resurrection F saga. You know, him talking about moving your body without thinking, like that's what you have to focus your training on is being able to do that. Like once you're able to do that, then you can beat anybody. Like that's what Whis basically tells Goku and Vegeta. Like once you're able to move your body without thinking, which is now we know it's called the Ultra Instinct technique, then no one can touch you. And he even said Beerus hasn't even unlocked this yet. So I feel like the reason Beerus is terrified too is that he's like, oh shit, now he can probably beat me. But yeah, you're right though. I hope it's not something that Goku does get to, go into whenever he feels like, or something that he just gets to use a lot from now on. Because you're right. At this point, like, who else can fight him? Like, yeah, he did not beat Jiren using it, which I love that. I'm so glad they didn't have him eliminate Jiren or even hurt Jiren. Like, Jiren was basically not even like scathed at the end of that. Like, he was able to still block his last punch and then blast him away. I honestly thought, to be honest, I thought they were about to eliminate Goku right there. When he blasted him away, I'm like, oh man, here it comes. Goku's about to pop on the bench. And no, the pillar stopped him, which was cool. I thought, like, okay, so that means there's definitely gonna be a rematch between them. But I don't know. I feel like I wanted them to kind of eliminate Goku this episode, not because I hate him. Obviously I love Goku. I love all the characters, but some more than others, obviously. But I wanted them to kind of do something really ballsy like that, like eliminate the most important person in Universe 7, and kind of have like Gohan and Vegeta and Frieza step up to like, okay, now they have to take it seriously, otherwise they're really screwed. But I still like what they did because it leaves room for more things for Goku to do in the future. Still leaves the possibility of a fusion up, because they never said you can't do the fusion dance. They never said you can't do that. Obviously can't do Potara, but that would be cool if they brought back Gogeta somehow. So yeah, I mean, I still think Goku will probably make it to the end, but I was kind of hoping that they would do something really cool, like eliminate him early and then kind of have like more tensions rise for Universe 7. I personally feel like Vegeta will... I know he'll get it. I feel like he might either get this form, like unlock Ultra Instinct at the end, but like by the end of the tournament, or like in his big moment. But I feel like that kind of like will make it seem like sloppy seconds for him, like, oh okay, Goku got it, so now Vegeta has to get it too, just like every other form. And I don't know if they want to do Vegeta like that. I feel like they're gonna, by the way they've been hyping up Vegeta and like the way they've been writing him in all of Super, they make him sound like, he's on the same level as Goku, definitely. Like, I don't think Vegeta's weaker than Goku at all. Like, I think Goku just, because of his knowledge of more techniques and, him training with gods and other worlds, people and all that stuff longer than Vegeta, he knows more techniques and he's able to use those better to, overcome Vegeta, and that's why he's always left in the dust. And Vegeta has the whole problem of always being too tense when he fights. So, I mean, that's another thing that once he gets over that will lead him closer to Ultra Instinct. But I feel like Vegeta might be given a different kind of form in the tournament, and that's because of him blowing up the Room of Spirit and Time twice during Super, because that entails you busting through a dimension, and with enough power that you blow through the dimension and blow the structure around the dimension on both sides, like on the the Spirit and Time side and then on Earth side. So I feel like what that they're trying to foreshadow with that is that he's found a way to beat Hit. And why I say that is because Hit's ability in episode 70, 71, when he kills Goku, temporarily, when he kills Goku for that half episode and they fight, Goku finds out from Hit that his ability is him basically going into pocket dimensions and skipping time. That's why it's called a time skip and not like time stop or time rewind or time fast forward or anything like that. It's a time skip because he literally just goes to a pocket dimension, skips that time, moves around to where he needs to be, and then comes back into our dimension. So I feel like Vegeta has figured out a way to bust through dimensions so that he can have his rematch with Hit, because he was absolutely humiliated by him the previous tournament between Universe 6 and 7. And that's the thing that I've been doing with Vegeta too, is giving him his rematch. Like, he had his rematch with Frieza in the Resurrection F arc, beat the hell out of him. You know, in the Goku Black arc, he got beat up, and then he came back and he just wipes the floor with Goku Black Rose after he does his training again. And he's been training even more, so I feel like he's found a way to beat Hit, and I feel like they're gonna definitely do a rematch between Vegeta and Hit before this tournament's over. And that may or may not be when Vegeta busts out a new technique or a new form. Most likely a new technique, because I feel like maybe they're trying to stay away from different transformations, like not to overbloat the show with transformations. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure Vegeta would love this rematch because the way he got whooped was just so cool, so cool.
It was so bad.
So I would love to see that. Hoping that they don't let Jiren eliminate Hit, which would be a crazy switch and twist.
Oh man.
But hopefully not. Hopefully Hit withstands that, because I feel like he's the top dog in Universe 6, and that would just be a crushing blow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Transformation wise, I think I agree with that as well. I don't think they're going to overdo it, especially because the internet is just cruel.
Yeah.
Transformation. They just keep taking us at the fact that that's all they keep doing, and they got Power Ranger colors going on. And they won't let them live that down. So
yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, and a lot of people are misinterpreting Goku's Ultra Instinct as just a new Super Saiyan transformation online. But those are people who don't watch the show, and we don't care about their opinion. So it's okay. But yeah, no, I feel like there's definitely enough love for Vegeta and Dragon Ball Super that he's gonna have his moment to shine. I'm hoping it's soon, because everyone's had a big moment so far, even Gohan and Frieza, and it's like, alright, let's see Vegeta's big moment. Come on, like, he's my favorite character, I've been waiting for this. But yeah, no, that's an interesting point. I don't, about Hit and Jiren, I really don't think they would eliminate Hit. I think Hit is gonna be one of the surviving members of Universe 6, like one of the last few surviving members of Universe 6. Definitely, because, like, I don't know, he just seems like too smart and at the same time too resourceful to just be knocked out like that. I feel like Jiren is gonna thrash him. I feel like Jiren is gonna defeat him, but probably not eliminate him. Feel like someone's gonna interfere before he gets eliminated. I would like to see Goku team up with Hit again to fight Universe 11, because that was awesome. That episode was fucking awesome. Like, when he went God and him and Hit had to fight Dispo and Tiny Blue Spider-Man. That was awesome. Is there anything else you want to bring up or discuss in this video before we?
There's a couple of things, just two small things.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm really curious. One, when Goku and Vegeta were talking after Goku was knocked out of like the Ultra Instinct that he was laying on the ground, and then he just vanished. What I think happened was I think Frieza used instant transmission, and my reason on that is the episode when he's fighting the Yard Track guy. He's just looking like you're using instant transmission. Like, once you figure that out, it's easy to beat you. The guy is just like trying to keep up, and he can't read Frieza's movements, and he's just saying like, I can't keep up, I can't even like read him. And I'm just thinking like, it would only make sense if Frieza's using instant transmission, because it's not something that you can kind of read the power level of. It's not like they're moving in light speed in that same sense. It's kind of just teleporting at that point.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that he couldn't read it. Also, it would make sense why Vegeta didn't know what happened to Goku, because I don't think Goku was in any condition to be using instant transmission at that point. And I think if Frieza just used regular speed to get him, Vegeta would have sensed that. But the fact that he just kind of disappeared, and I had to re-listen to it. Instant transmission actually has like a certain sound effect that they use, and it made that sound. So it was just like, it was definitely instant transmission to Goku.
Oh, it definitely was, but I didn't think it was Frieza. That's a really interesting point to bring up.
I just think like Frieza's a prodigy. He's a genius. Like, it wouldn't surprise me that it wasn't something he picked up on the spot. feels as though
Oh,
he's seen it enough times that he could just be like, okay,
I
I
wouldn't
got
be
this.
surprised at all. Yeah, I mean, if Kid Buu was able to pick it up, and Kid Buu was also,
Mhm.
supposed to be like a, fast learner and prodigy, all that stuff, and also like a magical entity and whatever. But yeah, no, I mean that's not something we haven't seen before, obviously. So fans can't really complain. People
Right.
can't really complain about that. I mean, they'll complain about everything, but no, that's a really good point. I actually didn't think about that. You know what? It was probably Frieza because he did seem like he was kind of using it against the Yard Rat. I just thought he was moving super fast and, kind of like leading his movements, kind of like predicting where he was gonna be. But him actually knowing instant transmission would actually make a lot of sense for that fight and how it went. And yeah, you're right. Goku was in no shape to do any kind of instant transmission technique after that. Like you saw what happened after he fought Hit in that tournament. He was using it and like popping up in Bulma's shower and shit, and like, you know, appearing all these different places he wasn't meant to be because he couldn't control his ki. Yeah.
The other one thing that I'm curious about, I have to go rewatch / read from the manga point of view because when I watched Dragon Ball Z when I was younger, it was naturally dubbed. I was a kid.
Yeah.
Do stuff and all that stuff.
Same.
And I remember when they first fought like Vegeta, and he first like uses the spirit bomb. And he's telling Krillin and Gohan about it. He's just like, "Don't worry, if you're pure, it won't hurt you." And every time I think about it, and I think back to this fight, I was wondering like, one, would it have hurt Jiren? Like, because they're enemies in the tournament doesn't mean he's the enemy in general. Also, could it have really hurt Goku because he is pure? If no one else in the entire universe is he's been somebody that basically always said he's a pure heart. He likes to fight. Like he's not doing anything out of an evil intent. He's a pure-hearted person. That's why he was able to go Super Saiyan with the Spirit Bomb against Kid Buu.
Yeah.
Goku. Yeah. So even though he fell into it, I was wondering like, could it actually hurt him? Like it's just because he's a spirit person. Like one thing I could think of is it just giving him energy because
he's the one who made it.
Yeah, like he's not evil. Like, I can't see it in any way ever hurting him. Like even if it with Kid Buu, I'm pretty sure Kid Buu darkened it when he threw it back at him. I can't be 100% sure, but I thought he did something to it. Like
I think he like put his own energy into it or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that was like their explanation of what happened.
Yep, I think that's what happened against Kid Buu, which would make perfect sense. But with Jiren, he just kind of pushes it back at him. So I was just like, yeah, there was a struggle of power there, but
What
I don't
if,
think he did anything.
well, what if Jiren also put his energy into the spirit bomb while he was pushing it back, and maybe that energy, like plus the shock from the spirit bomb and all of that energy going into him, what if that part of the energy of the spirit bomb, Jiren's part, is what unlocked Ultra Instinct?
That I wouldn't be surprised in, because I don't see Jiren and them as being evil either. Like,
Yeah, he's a pride trooper.
yeah, exactly. And they're all about justice, so I think they're good too. So I think
Sure, yeah.
Spirit Bomb wouldn't hurt anybody. I think it was just an attack that they assumed at the time would hurt somebody, but it's just like, you guys are both good people. It's not gonna hurt anybody.
I'm glad you brought that up because I just remembered something too that I watched on a video, because apparently the Crunchyroll and all the subbed versions of this episode had a missing scene from the original live broadcast on Fuji TV. There was a scene when Goku and Jiren were struggling with the Spirit Bomb where the Grand Priest looks really like irritated and shocked and goes up to the Zenos and puts up a barrier around him and the Zenos and says something along the lines of, "Oh, this isn't good. Like, it's like something bad is happening," while they were pushing the spirit bombs back and forth. And none of the other gods who were even closer than the Grand Priest and Xenos were even concerned about it. No one else on the field was concerned about it. The main person that was concerned about the spirit bomb was the Grand Priest. And they cut that scene from Crunchyroll and from any other subtitled showing of it online, like the official ones, of course. Maybe not the pirated ones. I didn't look at those, but because I only look at the official ones. But um, yeah, like I saw videos that were talking about that scene and showing little clips from it too. That like the Grand Priest may have shown his cards too early. He may have, because there's a whole theory about the Grand Priest being evil and him, setting up this whole tournament of power to kind of dwindle down the universes, and because maybe that has something to do with how much power Zeno has, so the less universes exist, the less power he has, and he can usurp him or whatever. That's all speculation, but the main thing is that, him being evil is a huge possibility, and him doing that this episode and them cutting it out of the official sub release is interesting.
Yeah, that's funny because I totally agree with him being evil. He ever since the first elimination, like I can't remember what universe it was.
9.
And he just had that look that was just like, yeah, time to get rid of him. And not only him, but his angel.
Mojito, well. Yeah.
He just was just like, finally, like that's one down. And I was just like, okay, something's going on. Like this guy is he's I don't know if the next arc or what, but he's definitely going to be somebody to face, which I think also would make Ultra Instinct a good thing for him to keep, because if it's something like that where he has to fight the angels, that's something that he's going to use, because if
he has to,
even as good as Wiz, which I think they are, not Wiz, they're all going to be fighting like that. So he's going to need Ultra Instinct to even try to match any of them. Which, oh man, yeah, that's completely on the road, but I can see it happening, and I can't wait for that.
Man, that would be intense if by the end of the tournament, the Grand Priest reveals his plan after a couple more universes have been erased. Because I think not all the angels are bad or are on his side. Because what happened was, the first universe that went was Universe 9, and obviously Grand Priest seemed very satisfied with himself when that happened. And then Mojito, the angel from that universe, also was happy. But that's mainly because he didn't like Sidra or the God of Destruction of that universe. Like he just didn't like them. So he like hated working for that universe. He hated being their angel attendant. So they were gone. He's like, good riddance. But it also could be that he was happy because of the plan going in motion. So there's speculation there's going to be like a war of angels at the end, where like Whis and some of the good angels, like the one from Universe 10 who seemed really upset that her universe was gone, they will be on our side, like Goku's side, Vegeta's side, and then like Grand Priest and Mojito and all the other evil angels are going to be on the other side, and there's going to be a fight. And that would be a good time for them to bust out Ultra Instinct again, because I don't think anybody, not even Frieza or Vegeta or even Goku, without Ultra Instinct would be able to touch an angel, because they already can't. They already can't. Right. Like they already can't mess with Whis. Beerus can't even mess with Whis, and he's like leagues above them without Ultra Instinct, of course. So I think if anything, if any fusion was gonna happen, that would be the time. Like they fuse into Gogeta, and then because of Goku's side having tapped into Ultra Instinct, Vegeta's side kind of understands it. It's like, oh, that's how you did it, Kakarot. And he understands it, and then maybe we see Ultra Instinct Gogeta. And then when he splits up, we see Ultra Instinct Vegeta and Goku, and then because of them both being in completely instinctual mode, they kind of maybe work together better because of their bodies just like kind of being fluid and just moving on instinct. Which also then is another throwback to what Whis was saying, that if Goku and Vegeta, if you guys work together, no one can defeat you. So maybe this was all leading up to this tournament, which is then now they have to beat the Grand Priest. But then, back to what you were saying about villains earlier, is that, yeah, if they do this, then that's kind of where the show has to end. Because there would be no villains after this. There would be no one, like, if they introduce someone stronger than the Grand Priest after a fight with the Grand Priest, that's like an ass bull like I've never seen one before. That would be the most ridiculous thing ever, because this is this guy's supposed to be the strongest being in existence, like minus Zeno, and of course minus Toribot, the Toriyama fictional bot that made this whole universe. That's in universe apparently. But yeah, like that would be crazy. I think. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna like. I think maybe if they do that, then it's gonna be the end of the show somehow, or it's gonna be like something has to happen to where things get balanced again, so that if they do decide to continue Super after the tournament, it's not like they turn Goku into a kid, so he has to do basic shit again like in GT, or it's not like they start just bringing in even stronger and stronger beings that we somehow didn't know about, that are stronger than Jiren and the angels and shit like that. That would be too much. I think it would be funny if after Super ends, they just start airing GT. Like, they pretend it's new, but they just start airing the same episodes.
Make it canon, I guess.
Right? Just like promote it, like, oh no, what's gonna happen to Goku? He's turned into a kid, and everyone's like, what? Is this GT? And they're like, no, this is just Dragon Ball Super. We're continuing it. And they just air the same exact episodes, not even remastered. But no, that's definitely interesting. Yeah, I'm glad we got to talk about all this. Is there anything else you would like to talk about or add?
Nothing comes to mind right now.
Cool. Thank you so much, Chris Shillen, for joining me today here at Geek Paradise Entertainment. Thank you for this awesome in-depth discussion of what happened in the 1 hour special of Dragon Ball Super, and we had a lot of cool speculations. I'm really excited to see what happens in the future of Dragon Ball Super in regards to all this. Yeah, this is really, really exciting time to be a Dragon Ball fan. I'm really happy that we live in this time and age. Thank you again for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.